Welcome to Amy Kardashian and the Expert Show, where my experts help you transform your business and personal life. This is the second segment with Anita Think of All. And then if you missed the first segment, please, I encourage you to go to akexpertstv.com to watch our first segment with Anita. Welcome back, Anita.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you as usual.
Thank you.
Okay, Anita, what we're going to be talking about this segment?
The segment is about explaining really the underlying purpose, or actually the pain, that what I birthed out of my pain was the purpose and what I work on now, which is to promote respectfulness worldwide. What I say, from all, to all, for all.
Wow. And how this came out?
Well,
What made you start this?
The short version is, after working in the corporate world for about 30 years, I had what I call a personal 9/11. It was, I'm just going to say, it was a very disrespectful thing that was done to me.
Wow.
It happened around the time that 9/11 happened in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of talking about it and having an attitude of woe is me, I'm a victim of some kind of abuse, I thought it would be cuter if I just called it my personal 9/11, because we all know what the public 9/11, when and where it happened in New York City. And the most memorable moment about what happened in New York City was not that day. For me, I didn't know anyone. It was actually the morning after 9/11, when the Archbishop of New York City was being interviewed by somebody from CNN, and the person from CNN asked, "Why do you suppose God caused, allowed," it was almost like a slip of the tongue, allowed 9/11 to happen?" And the Archbishop of New York City was so surprised that he said, "God didn't cause 9/11. God gives people free will, and someone chose to not only plan, but carry out 9/11. And I jumped up off of my couch when I was watching that happen the morning after, and I thought, that's how I can use my business process improvement skills to improve the process on how people make choices, because that was not a nice thing.
Of course
With over
not.
3,000.
Of course that was
And the
tragic.
whole focus there is, a lot of times when an event happens, for example, 9/11, people will say, "Did you hear about something that happened?" Well, technically it's not a thing that happened, because a thing is like a cell phone or a
Something.
a computer.
Yeah.
It's a thing we can hold in our hand. It's really an external event of somebody's internal choice. Unfortunately, 9/11 is one of the worst examples of someone's choice, like the Archbishop of New York City
A group
said.
of people of choice.
Yes, they chose to not only plan but carry out. So I made it my mission, from what happened in New York City, that public 9/11, and what happened to me private. Anytime harm is done, anytime especially women are victims of any kind of abuse, it's really a personal 9/11.
Yes.
And as you know, the dinner that you and I attended last week in New York City was not just that event, the gala of the Women's Federation for World Peace, but it was all about, 10 days of the Commission to Improve the Status of Women.
Yes.
There were 8,000 women there from around the world. I got to know many of them, probably around over 100, close to 150 women. They're all focused on something different. The one common denominator is they want to improve a problem that was caused by a self-based choice. And what did Einstein say? To solve our problems, we need to do so at a level higher than at which we created them. So I made it my passion, or my mission, to turn my pain into my purpose. And then what I did was I took my skills from 30 years in the corporate world and the 10 years I worked at Sprint, where my nickname was Henriette Kissinger, because I had to moderate the heated discussion between the men that were fighting for resources. And I had to calmly explain to Harold why Roger was going to get the resources, because Roger's project or product he wanted to roll out through the for Sprint Business was going to generate more revenue for the company. So we had to think of what's best for the company, not just what's in it for me.
Sure, absolutely. So where you're starting to teach this, and tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay, where I teach it is I do it in the form of in-person webinar, in-person workshops and online webinars. I have taught it to business groups, to companies, to associations like nurses associations. I've taught it to AA members. I've taught it to parents. I've taught it to teenagers. I customize the core component of every program is symbolized on what I call an empowerment tool. It's a triangular item that you can hang on your key ring, so it serves like a lifeline to the training that they've got from a live, an in-person workshop, or an online webinar.
Nice.
And those 3 points are considering self, consider the other person, and what does my
So you
conscience what to
teach
do.
different group of people, different. You teach them in different way, the same concept,
Yes,
but you
well put.
you give them what applies to their life.
Exactly.
So
I
they could
customize
really
it.
you customize it to each group of people. That's
It's
very
kind of
nice.
like what I use the analogy, think of a gold nugget. A gold nugget can be used to make a gold ring, a gold watch, a gold pennant.
Nice.
But it can be used, so the main thing I'm teaching, to no surprise, is to upgrade our self-based thinking of what you're going to do for me up to a higher level, like Einstein said, of I need to think of all when I
Then
make a choice
what can
or
I
decision.
do for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I use a few examples. I'm a visual learner myself. Like they say, I think 85% of people are visual learners. I use live examples such as this.
Yeah,
When
I
we
see you
see-
brought the stuff here. It's like, okay, what
When
is
we
that?
look at this, we simply see what I call outliers. Outliers in statistics means the exceptions to the norm. People who run for president of the United States, people who are Olympics, or they are participate in Olympics, people who are rock star, singers, or baseball players like the Chicago Cubs, or Muhammad Ali. All these people are really, they are famous people, but there's a lot of us normal people who just are caring about our life, and we don't realize that we make about 35,000 choices a day, but a lot of them are just made
35,000
automatically.
choices. Yes.
And so I use examples that we need to manage our ego. This is one of my funniest. I try to, sometimes the subject gets serious, so I try to lighten it up. This is an example of our egos want us to be right about something. And in my training programs, I use a simple little example to show now, where's that thought coming from, my ego or my angel? I just use those 2 little examples.
Nice.
I am most passionate about reducing the crimes that had happened. What I say is, these are terrorist attacks. This one was the Boston Marathon. And this is an example of what happens afterward. Who would do this at the Boston Marathon? This is a tragedy that happened in Oakland last summer. This is a tragedy that happened in the theater in Colorado. And this is a tragedy that happened in Europe. And all of these tragedies are examples of what I say, someone chose to cause that tragedy. And it doesn't happen just to the victims. It happens to the families. This is a
Absolutely.
picture of the
Everybody
sister.
get affected from it.
Yes. And like someone said, a year later, they never go away. This is what fuels my fire. This is a father of one of the children who was killed. This is Gabrielle Gifford. And this is a tragedy of someone else who lost someone. This is not a picture in a newspaper. This I attended here in Long Beach, or down in Long Beach. This girl was the only American killed when the terrorist attack happened in Paradise. Paradise in Paris. This is an actual picture of all the people who came to see her mother and both of her parents. They will live for the rest of their life. The pain never goes away. This is in Orlando. 50 were killed in a gay club. Wounds never heal. This is what fuels my fire, to teach people that when we each contribute our little piece to creating peace in our little portion of our world,
Make a difference. It makes a
then
difference.
we are promoting respectfulness worldwide. So as Martin Luther King says, I have a dream. I have a vision that when each of us are contributing to peace around the world by committing to respectfulness, we're really committing our little piece to creating peace.
So
and there's many ways.
Yeah, and the ways that you teach, what they need to do to be helpful and be making good choices.
That's a good point. In my research that I did over 10 years ago, I learned that there are so many different types of people that it is difficult to find one way in common that we could all use. Much to my surprise, when I wrote my first book, Think and Grow Peace, I learned that there's about 200 different religions. Only 12 of them are large enough to be considered a major religion. And in those major religions, there's many variations. Did you know that there's 34,000 variations of Christianity?
Yeah, that won't surprise me.
That's just the major religions, and then there's 200. But the golden rule is the only universal principle present in all major religions. That's just religions. Then there's lifestyle preferences. Then there's different generations. Yesterday, I learned from Dr. Wendy Walsh on one of the radio stations that there are not just two types of people, of babies that are born, like male or female. There's actually 70 different types, all because there may be different changes in the anatomy of a person being born. I thought there were two. So because there's so many different ways, I came up with one simple way that is different as different as all of us are, we can all use the same simple process that I teach in my workshops and webinars, and that's basically to upgrade our mindset and apply what Einstein said. To solve our problems are caused by self-based motives and choices. We need to solve them at a level higher than at which we created them. And that's where my name now matches what I teach.
Nice.
And that is to teach everyone we need to upgrade our thinking to, I need to think of all when I make a choice.
So you basically, who's your target? Who is the people who wants to make a difference in the world?
Thank you
to
for
learn
asking.
how to?
Yes, women in leadership positions.
Women in leadership and positions. Okay.
Because they can influence so many. My heart cries for the victims of abuse. And I met so many women around the world actually it would be 2 weeks ago, when we were in New York City. So many women working in many, many, many different ways
in harmony
many
together.
different countries. So women in leadership positions. Having said that, anyone who wants to help on learning how to see their future before they create it. One chapter in my program, or one portion, is 2020 foresight. I teach people how to learn 2020 foresight, and many, many people have come to me for that. How do you do that? And that's one thing I teach. I don't limit it, but my primary focus is women in leadership positions.
Very nice. It's not everyone is just take the time to really teach what you're teaching. You're making a very, very big impact in the world, and I really appreciate that, because I'm all about peace, as you know. Can you give us your website, please? Just give them your website.
My organization is Local Choices for Global Respect.org. And if that is a long name, so a shortcut to that is simply think-of-all.com.
Nice. So you have two different websites they can connect with you. Again, thank you so much for having you. It was a pleasure. If you missed the other segments with Anita, please check it out. We had a great last segment. It was really wonderful. And thank you so much for coming all the way from California, right? From San Diego, to do this interview. I appreciate your time here with us.
Thank you, Amy.
And I want to just take a minute to again appreciate our sponsors, SkyVistaConsulting.com, EV36photography.com, SkinFitnessLV.com. Thank you so much for your support. And for all of you, stay smiling and shining. We'll see you soon.